You don't care what people think. That's what you tell yourself. But your palms sweat before you send that message. You check how many people liked your post within the first 5 minutes. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said the wrong thing. You don't need approval. Your nervous system never got that memo. And the reason goes back further than social media, further than school, further than civilization itself. For most of human history, being disliked was not uncomfortable. It was fatal. A single human who lost the trust of their group had no backup plan. No savings account, no apartment to retreat to, no city full of strangers willing to hire someone they had never met. You had your group, or you had nothing. And if your group decided you were a problem, too selfish, too unreliable, too strange, the consequences were not social. They were biological. You stopped eating, you stopped sleeping safely, you died. So your brain built a system to prevent that from ever happening. It monitors continuously how you are being perceived. It tracks facial expressions, tones of voice, the exact length of a pause before someone responds to something you said. It runs this calculation in the background every waking hour of every day, and when it detects that your standing in the group might be slipping, it fires a warning. That warning feels like anxiety, like self-consciousness, like the urge to apologize for something you are not even sure was wrong. You call it insecurity. Your ancestors called it staying alive. In 1992, a British anthropologist named Robin Dunbar published research that changed how scientists understand the human social brain. He had been studying primates for years, comparing brain size to group size across dozens of species. The pattern was consistent. Larger brains correlated with larger, more complex social groups. Then, he applied the same calculation to humans. The number he landed on was 150. That is the maximum number of people the human brain can maintain genuine social relationships with at once. Not acquaintances, not followers. Genuine relationships. People whose history you know, whose loyalty you trust, whose loss you would actually feel. Beyond 150, your brain begins treating people as strangers regardless of how many times you have met them. Dunbar called this the social brain hypothesis. The idea is that human intelligence did not evolve to solve abstract problems. It evolved to manage people, to remember who did what, who owes whom, who can be trusted, and who cannot, who is likely to help in a crisis, and who will disappear the moment things get difficult. The human brain is, at its core, a social calculator. And it has been running the same software for hundreds of thousands of years. This is why gossip is not shallow. Across every culture ever studied, humans spend between 60 and 70% of their conversations talking about other people. Not ideas, not philosophy, not plans. People. Who did what? Who said what? Who surprised everyone and who confirmed exactly what everyone already suspected. Anthropologists believe this is the function gossip has always served. It is the mechanism by which a group of 150 people keeps itself calibrated. Who is pulling their weight? Who has started taking more than they give? Who might be about to do something that puts everyone at risk? Information about people is survival information. Your brain treats it that way. But here is where it gets complicated. Your brain does not just track how others see the people around you. It tracks, obsessively, how others see you. Neuroscientists have identified a region of the brain called the medial prefrontal cortex. It is one of the most metabolically expensive areas in the entire brain, meaning it burns more energy than almost anything else you do. And one of its primary functions is simulating how other people perceive you. Running models of what they think, what they feel, whether they approve. It does this automatically. You cannot turn it off. The moment you enter a social situation, that region activates, and it does not stop until you leave. The reason this system is so costly is because it was so necessary. In a group of 150 people who all depend on each other, your reputation is your most important asset. More important than your physical strength. More important than your intelligence. A strong man with a bad reputation in a hunter-gatherer band will not last long. A less physically capable person who everyone trusts, who everyone likes, who always pulls their weight and never takes more than their share. That person is protected. That person eats. That person's children survive. Being liked was not a nice thing to have, it was infrastructure. This is why social rejection hurts the way it does. In a set of studies now considered landmark in social neuroscience, researchers at UCLA placed participants inside brain scanners and had them play a simple computer game. The game was designed so that after a few rounds, the other players, who were actually part of the experiment, began excluding the participant without explanation. No confrontation, no argument. Just quiet, unexplained exclusion. The brain scans showed something that surprised even the researchers. The area that activated during social exclusion was the same area that processes physical pain. Not a nearby region, not a similar region, the same one. The same neural pathway that fires when you break a bone or burn your hand fires when a group of strangers in a computer game stops passing you the ball. Your brain registers being left out as an injury. And that is not a bug. That is the entire point. For 300,000 years, social exclusion and physical injury carried the same consequence. Both could kill you. The brain that treated them with equal urgency was the brain that survived. And that brain is the one you are walking around with right now. So what happens when you drop this ancient system into a world it was never built for? The average person in 2024 has hundreds of social media followers. Thousands. If they have been online for a while. Every post they make is visible to an audience that, in evolutionary terms, the human brain has no framework for. You did not evolve to perform for strangers. You evolved to manage relationships with 150 people whose faces you knew and whose reactions you could read in real time. Instead, you get a number, a like count, a view count, a follower count that goes up or down based on decisions you made at 11 at night when you were tired and not thinking clearly. Your brain receives that number and processes it the same way it processed social feedback on the savannah, as information about your standing, as data about whether the group still wants you, as a signal about whether you are safe. The system was designed for a village. You are running it in a stadium, and the stadium never closes. This is why you check, why you refresh. Why a post that gets less engagement than usual can ruin an entire afternoon even when you know, logically, that it does not matter. Your brain does not know it does not matter. To the part of your brain that is still running 300,000-year-old threat detection software, a drop in social standing is an emergency. It responds accordingly. There is a concept in psychology called the sociometer hypothesis. It was first proposed by psychologist Mark Leary in the 1990s. His idea was simple and strange and, once you hear it, impossible to unsee. Self-esteem, Leary argued, is not a goal. It is a gauge. The way a fuel gauge does not exist so you can admire how full the tank is, it exists to tell you when you are running low and need to act. Self-esteem exists to tell you where you stand socially. When the people around you like you, trust you, value your presence, your self-esteem is high. When they pull away, when they exclude you, when they seem less interested in what you have to say, your self-esteem drops. Not as punishment, as information. Low self-esteem in this model is your brain telling you that your social standing is at risk and that you need to change something before it gets worse. Which means all those years you spent trying to raise your self-esteem as if it were the goal, the affirmations, the self-help books, the attempts to simply decide you were enough, were attempts to hack the gauge without fixing the fuel. The gauge was working perfectly. You just did not like what it was reading. None of this is permanent. The same social brain that makes you desperate for approval is also the system that, when it genuinely finds its place in a group, when it is actually known, actually trusted, actually valued by people whose opinion it has had time to calibrate, goes quiet. The monitoring softens. The self-consciousness recedes. You stop performing because you no longer need to. That is what belonging feels like from the inside. Not happiness exactly. Something quieter than that. The absence of the calculation. The relief of being somewhere you do not have to manage how you appear. Every human brain is trying to find its way to that state. The tragedy is not that we need to be liked. The tragedy is that we are trying to get there through systems that were never designed to provide it. counts, and metrics and audiences of strangers who will never know us well enough to actually like us. Not in the way the brain needs to be liked, which is slowly, specifically, and in person. You do not need everyone to like you. You never did. Your brain only ever needed 150 people, and most of the time it needed far fewer than that. The question is not how to stop caring what people think. The question is whether the people whose opinion you are spending all this energy on are actually the ones who know you well enough for their opinion to mean anything at all.